Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Misiura. Today we're going to tie a wet fly. This is a black Zulu. This is a pretty easy fly. Teaches you a couple different things here. The hook that I have in the vise is a standard Nymph hook, and this is a size 10. And I would tie these from 10 to 16. Going to use black thread, and this is 70 denier. We're going to start the thread behind the hook, behind the eye, and bring that thread down to where it starts to bend. This is, like I said, this is a wet fly, and this is a good fly for stock trout. If you're unlucky enough to have to only fish for stock trout, this would be a good fly to learn and use. Simple cast it across stream and let it drift with the current. Let it swing across the current. Put different weights, and I'll explain that a little further. First thing we're going to put on is a tail. We need red wool for the tail, and I'm going to make this tail. I'm not going to worry about the exact length of it right now. Just red wool yarn will be good, but I'm going to this is actually egg yarn. Like I said, I'm not going to worry about the length of it right now. I'm just going to tie that on. Get that on there tight. Hold it so it stays on top. And go ahead and wrap that to the front. I'm just pushing the, kind of holding my finger there so that it doesn't do that. When I get closer to the front, I'm going to trim that off before I get all the way up to the top. Go ahead and trim that. I'm going to cut that a little bit at an angle there. Egg yarn, here we go. These scissors aren't quite tight enough. Let me grab my other pair. There we go. I got a little bit of a taper there, and that's going to help me to taper that down. Now, before going all the way back, I'm going to put my rib in. And for my rib, I'm going to use silver tinsel, and this is a number 16 gold and silver tinsel. And I'm going to take about 2 wraps off the spool for this, and that'll give me plenty to work with without having to put Hackle pliers on it. Now, with 2 different colored tinsels, the color you want to be shown when you're done with the fly, which is, I want the silver, that color you're going to put to the hook shank. So as I'm tying this in, I want to see the gold side. Bring that right to the back. Could actually cut the tail, trim the tail now, or you can wait until you're done. Going to take this, I'm going to cut this now, and I want this to be just a short tail, just a nice little button there. So I'm going to take it to the, I'm actually button my scissors to the bend of the hook, and I'll go ahead and trim that. And we got those couple long ones again. Take care of them. And there we go. Now for the body, I'm going to use Black Rabbit. Fresh batch that I just blended, trimmed off the hide, and put in my dubbing blender. And we're going to make, you don't have to have a real skinny noodle, but you don't want it too fat. You know, you don't want a real big fat noodle. Remember what I always say, you can always add more. So when you're dubbing, it's better to err on the side of not enough. We're going to go ahead and wrap this. Now here's one of those techniques that I told you. For the hackle, we're going to use a black hackle. And make sure you get that crew cut on there. You see the little stubs on the end there. And that's going to give your thread something to hold on to. We're going to tie that in and go ahead and going to leave that there. And now we're going to wrap the hackle and we're going to wrap it back, but then the tinsel is what is going to hold the hackle down in place. It's good to learn this because there's different flies that actually use that technique, tying in the hackle at the front and wrapping to the back, and the elk hair caddis or the deer hair caddis, if you tie it traditionally, that's the way it's supposed to go. I have the hackle, the pliers on the hackle. I'm going from the top down, and I'm going to get the hackle fibers to one side, or at least encourage them to go that direction. You can actually hold them to that side as you're wrapping. I'm going to go around twice because that hackle didn't cover the first time, and then we're going to palmer it towards the rear. Palmering means open spirals, just like a barber pole. And we go to the, we get to the tag. The red part is the tail or the tag. We're going to hold that. Now we're going to take the tinsel. And now that I have it held with the tinsel, I can let go of the hackle pliers. And we're going to palmer that forward. And there's no big need to wrap this, counter wrap it. Don't need to do that. It is counter wrapping because going from front to back and then back to front with the tinsel, you're getting that covered, you're getting that tied down very well. And you can see I'm moving it through there just so I don't mash down too many. You are going to mash down some of the fibers, but you don't want to mash down too many. Now I have it at the front. Going to just make sure that the hackle is all going towards the rear. Hold that tinsel in place. Take that loose loop first and bring it in. And then wrap it in. There we go. I'm going to take it back. It's a little bit more security there. Take my poke and snip and trim that off. Very good tool if you want to trim off things really close. I can take my poke and snip and trim off the excess hackle at the rear. Now we just form the head. Take our whip finish. Go ahead and give that a whip finish. once, twice, three, maybe four times. Tighten that up. Tug on it there to tighten it in. Poke and snip that off. Now you could go ahead and take your head cement. Put a little bit of head cement on the head there. I use Sally Hansen Hard as Nails. I can't say for sure, but I would think that nail polish was probably the first head cement. I got one hackle sticking out towards the front there. I'm going to nip that sucker off. If I could actually find it. There we go. And here we have a black Zulu. Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. Please visit my sponsors if you'd like to purchase this fly or any flies that I make. Please go to my Etsy page at etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And most of all, I thank you very much for watching my videos.